Titan scrapyards were a graveyard for the galaxy's forgotten dreams. Massive heaps of twisted metal, shattered circuits, and warped hull plates stretched for miles beneath the orange haze of Saturn's distant glow. Here, humanity eked out an existence at the farthest edges of the galactic accord, relegated to scavenging, patching, and repurposing. To most species, Earth and its colonies were a joke, the scrappers of soul, barely capable of holding together rust buckets that creaked through space. Captain Mara Vance stood atop a scaffold, her hands coated with grease and grime, eyes scanning the massive wreck beneath her. It was a Vorthan warship, once a terror of the stars, now a broken carcass dragged here after a failed campaign. The Vorthan Empire had long viewed humans with disdain, considering them backward scavengers who lacked the sophistication or resources to build anything worthwhile. They mocked us for this, Mara muttered, running a hand over a jagged edge of alien alloy. Said this was scrap, nothing more. Around her, the scrapyard buzzed with activity, other crews hauling in pieces, bargaining over stolen tech, or joking about the pathetic human effort. But Mara's mind wasn't on their laughter. She saw something else. This hull, she whispered. It's more than broken pieces. It's the foundation. Behind her, her first officer, Jax Wren, a tall man with cybernetic eyes that gleamed faintly blue, approached. You really think the Accord will let this fly? They'll shut you down before the first bolt's tightened. Mara smiled, sharp and fierce. They don't know what humans are capable of. They never have. The scrapyards were a far cry from the sleek, polished shipyards of the Accord's core worlds. Here, there were no clean assembly lines or pristine factories. Just ingenuity, born from necessity. The crews worked with old I-cores, jury-rigged fusion drives, and tech no one else wanted. It was survival by duct tape and willpower. You're gambling with fire, Jax warned. Fire builds stars, Mara replied. That night, Mara gathered her crew in the cramped hangar beneath the ice crust. The hangar's flickering lights cast long shadows over the half-assembled warship, a monstrous silhouette of mismatched panels, glowing wires, and patched-together weapon systems. Meet Dreadsteel, Mara announced, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. A chorus of murmurs followed. Among them was Lyra, an AI specialist with electric blue tattoos pulsing faintly along her arms. She tapped at her holopad, analyzing the ship's unstable core. You're building a nightmare from scraps stolen from every corner of the galaxy. Fusion drives from Earth, plasma cannons from the Vorthans, cloaking tech rumored to be extinct. It shouldn't work, Mara shrugged. It has to. The crew exchanged wary glances. This was madness. No one had ever tried to blend so many incompatible systems. The Accord's engineers had declared it impossible. But Mara saw beyond the technical hurdles. She saw a future where humans would no longer be second-class citizens in a galaxy ruled by arrogance and ancient alliances. This was their chance to rewrite the narrative. Days turned into weeks as the crew worked tirelessly. Arguments flared over incompatible systems and schematics scribbled on salvaged datapads. The patched AI, dubbed Patch, blinked erratically, as Lyra tried to teach it to manage the chaos inside Dreadsteel's core. One afternoon, as Mara tightened a rusted panel, Jax approached again, his cybernetic eyes scanning the hull. You know the Accord spies are watching. They want to catch you making a mistake. If you slip up, they'll crush this before. It's airborne. Let them watch, Mara said, voice low but defiant. Because when Dreadsteel flies, they'll have to eat their words. Suddenly, the hangar lights flickered violently, and the hum of nearby machines faltered. Mara's comm crackled. Unidentified vessel detected approaching fast. Jax's eyes narrowed. Pirates. Looks like they found our little secret. Panic flashed in the crew's eyes. Their warship was incomplete, half the systems untested and weapons offline. Mara's hands clenched into fists. This is no time to freeze. Get to battle stations. We'll show them why humans survive. The hangar's doors hissed open, and the night sky of Titan's orbit flooded the bay. Through the haze, a cluster of sleek pirate ships swooped in, cutthroats hungry for a quick score. Mara's voice rose above the alarms. Patch, prepare plasma cannons. Lyra, reroute power to shields. Jocks, ready the fusion core for a jump. The first blast rocked the hangar as pirate lasers slammed into the ship's exposed hull. But Dreadsteel shuddered, held together by more than metal, by human grit and refusal to surrender. When the warship lurched forward under patched-together engines, it was no longer scrap. It was a beast waking from a long sleep, ready to roar. The hangar doors closed with a heavy hiss behind the retreating pirate ships, leaving Dreadsteel trembling in the dim light of Titan's scrapyard. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burnt circuits and scorched alloy, but Captain Mara, Vance's eyes gleamed brighter than ever. They had survived their first real test. Lyra wiped sweat from her brow, her hands shaking as she interfaced with Patch, the ship's patched-together AI. The plasma cannons took a beating, but the cores stable for now. Jock stepped closer, eyes scanning the flickering readouts. That was close. Too close. The Accord spies won't just watch from the sidelines anymore. They'll want to crush us before we become a real threat. Mara nodded. Which is why we need more than this ragtag crew. We need allies who know the galaxy's dark corners, experts the Accord has tried to erase. The next day, Mara moved swiftly through the neon-lit back alleys of Saturn's orbital station, a sprawling hive buzzing with smugglers, ex-soldiers, and tech scavengers. It was the perfect hunting ground for those cast aside by the Galactic elite. Her first stop was a dim cantina known as the Black Hole, a haven for mercenaries and outlaws. At a shadow table sat Soren Kale, a former pilot whose reputation for deadly precision was whispered across star systems. His cybernetic arm gleamed under the flickering hollow sign. "You're the one building the scrap warship," Soren said. His voice rough. "Thought it was just a myth." Mara leaned in, voice steady. "It's real. But we need a pilot who can handle a ship that doesn't always behave. A ship that's part beast, part machine. Interested?" He studied her for a moment, then cracked a grin. "I don't fly for free." "Neither do I," Mara said, sliding a dataship across the table. "Pays good. And the cause? We're not just building a ship. We're building a future." Soren's eyes flickered to the chip and back. "All right, Captain, I'm in." From there, Mara's recruitment grew. She tracked down Elara Jin, an ex-military weapons engineer known for salvaging forbidden tech and defying Accord regulations. Elara's stubborn pride matched Mara's determination. "I don't do charity," Elara warned, brandishing a plasma cutter like a talisman. "But if your ship's half as crazy as they say, I want in." Together, Mara, Soren, and Elara navigated the shadows of the Accord's neglected sectors, pulling together a crew of misfits eye hackers, zero-G welders, and exiled tacticians. Each brought scars, grudges, and secrets, but all shared one burning desire to prove humanity was more than scrap. Back in the hangar, the new crew gathered around Dreadsteel, their faces illuminated by the ship's eerie glow. Mara addressed them, voice firm and clear. "This ship is a testament, a challenge to every snide comment, every dismissal. The galaxy calls us junkyard scavengers, but we'll build something no one can ignore." Patch's voice crackled softly through the intercom, part synthetic, part human warmth. "Integration of multi-species technology remains unstable. Recommend caution." Lyra smiled, tapping furiously at her console. "Patch may complain, but it's learning. Slowly, but it's becoming more than the sum of its parts." Soren, ran his fingers along the railgun's barrel, grinning. I've flown sleek cruisers and hulking dreadnoughts, but this is different. It's unpredictable, dangerous, just the way I like it. But not all shared the optimism. Jocks, standing near the engineering bay, lowered his voice. The Accord won't wait for us to finish. They're sending patrols. Closer every day. If we slip up, we're done. Mara met his gaze. Then we won't slip up. Night fell over Titan, but inside the hangar, the crew worked like a well-oiled machine, welding, calibrating, and running simulations. Each bold Titan was a defiant strike against the galaxy's contempt. As the days passed, the hangar became a crucible, pressure mounting, tensions rising. Arguments flared between crew members who doubted the project's success, while others pushed for riskier modifications. One evening, during a heated debate about weapon configurations, the ship's eye flickered violently. Screens blinked and a low hum grew louder. Patch's voice broke through the tension, unusually calm. Warning: power fluctuations detected in fusion core. Recommend immediate diagnostics. Lyra dashed to the core, her fingers flying over the control panel. It's the fusion drive. Some of the alien components aren't syncing right. If this keeps up, we risk a meltdown. Mara clenched her fists. Then fix it. We don't get second chances. Hours stretched into days as the crew worked through the night. In the silence between the sparks and wrenches, Mara found herself thinking about the galaxy beyond Titan, the ships that sneered, the elites who dismissed. Them and the warships that symbolized power. We'll show them, she whispered to herself, staring up at Dreadsteel's towering frame. From scrap, we'll build something they fear. The night before the next test flight, Mara called her crew together in the hangar. We're not just building a warship, she said, voice steady but passionate. We're building a message. To every alien empire that's ever laughed at humanity, this ends now. The crew's eyes burned with newfound resolve. As the hangar lights dimmed, the scrap that was Dreadsteel pulsed with life. Tomorrow they would take it into the stars. Tomorrow, the galaxy would hear the roar of the scrappers. The hangar thrummed with nervous energy as Dreadsteel's engines roared to life for the first time. Sparks flickered along exposed wiring, and the ship shuddered as its patchwork fusion drive roared, fighting to stabilize. Captain Mara Vance stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the glowing instrument panels, every muscle tense. This is it, she said, voice low but steady. Patch, status report. The AI's voice, a blend of synthetic calm and something almost human, replied. Fusion core stabilizing at 73%. Plasma systems online at 55%. Cloaking array in low power mode. Warning: multiple system irregularities detected. Proceed with caution. Lyra's fingers danced across her console. We're pushing this ship harder than any regulations allow, but she's holding, just barely. Jocks adjusted his cybernetic eye, scanning tactical displays. I don't like this. If something goes wrong out here, there's no backup. No rescue. Mara met his gaze, determination burning in her own. There's never a backup for us. Not anymore. With a sharp hiss, Dreadsteel detached from the Titan hangar and lurched into the thick orange haze of Saturn's upper atmosphere. The crew braced as the fusion core flared, powering every jury-rigged system on board. Initiate thrusters, Mara ordered. The ship jolted forward, unsteady at first, as the hybrid engines fought to balance alien tech with human ingenuity. The plasma cannons hummed faintly in the weapons bays, waiting. Suddenly, alarms blared. Energy spike in the railgun capacitor, Patch warned. Potential overload in 5 seconds. Divert power from non-essential systems. Mara commanded. Lyra, reroute everything to weapon cooling. With a flurry of commands, Lyra stabilized the energy flow just in time. The railgun's capacitor dimmed from critical to stable. "Good save," Jox muttered, shaking his head. "This ship has a mind of its own." "That's the point," Mara said. "Dreadsteel isn't just a warship, it's an experiment in adaptability." Before the crew could catch their breath, a sharp blip appeared on the tactical display. Pirate raiders, small, fast, and armed to the teeth, had zeroed in on their signature. "Pirates," Soren growled from the pilot's seat. "Looks like they want a piece of the scrap heap." Mara's jaw tightened. "Let's show them why we're not just scrap." With a roar, Dreadsteel dropped from cloaking and surged toward the raiders. The ship's hybrid plasma railgun charged with a low hum, glowing bright orange. The first volley of plasma bolts streaked through space, smashing into a pirate vessel's shield with brutal precision. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers against the backdrop of stars. The pirates retaliated with missile barrages and plasma streams, but Dreadsteel's patch shields absorbed the hits in a wild dance of flickering energy. Soren's hands flew over the controls. "I'm not used to flying something this unpredictable. But it's working." Alara's voice came over the comm, calm but focused. "Weapon systems are responding to adaptive targeting algorithms patched into the AI. We're outmaneuvering them." The battle was chaotic, a blur of sudden shifts, evasive maneuvers, and rapid-fire blasts. Dreadsteel twisted and surged, its patched-together systems humming in dangerous harmony. Suddenly, the flagship of the raider group launched a salvo of ion torpedoes. Sensors lit up red. "Incoming!" Jox shouted. "Deploy countermeasures," Mara ordered. The hangar bay trembled as the torpedoes exploded harmlessly against Dreadsteel's decoy drones. "Patch, focus power to thrusters." "We need to break their formation," Mara said. With a violent surge, the warship accelerated, weaving through enemy fire like a shadow. The plasma railgun fired again, piercing the flagship's armor in a brilliant flash. The raider flagship exploded in a shower of sparks and debris, forcing the remaining pirates to scatter. Silence fell. The crew stared at the tactical readouts, disbelief mingling with relief. Lyra let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "We did it. Against all odds." Mara's eyes sparkled. "We're not scrap anymore. We're a force." Overcomes, a crackling message from a distant Accord scout ship broke the silence. Unidentified vessel engaging pirates in Titan. Sector analysis underway. Unprecedented weapon signatures detected. Mara allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. The galaxy was starting to notice. Back on the bridge, she turned to her crew. "This was just a test. We've got a long way to go." Jox nodded. "They'll be watching us closer now. And we'll be ready," Mara said, "because they mocked our scrap once. Next time, they'll think twice." As Dreadsteel glided through Saturn's orbit, its patchwork hull gleaming under distant starlight, the ship was no longer just a relic of discarded tech. It was a symbol of human tenacity, of defiance, of a new power rising from the ashes of neglect. Mara leaned forward, eyes on the stars ahead. "Let's build a legend." The news traveled faster than Dreadsteel could jump through the outer systems. The galaxy's elite learned quickly that humanity's scrap heap had turned deadly. The Galactic Accord, a coalition of powerful species who governed most of known space, wasn't accustomed to being challenged by a patchwork ship born from salvaged wreckage and human stubbornness. Within hours of the pirate battle, a sleek, gleaming dreadnought appeared in Titan's orbit, a stark contrast to Dreadsteel's rugged frame. The ship, named the Echelon, was the pride of the Accord fleet, heavily armed, impossibly fast, and manned by the best officers money could buy. On the bridge of Dreadsteel, Mara's eyes narrowed as the massive ship loomed on their sensors. The Accord had sent a clear message. Surrender or be destroyed. Patch's voice crackled over the comm. Echelon demands identification and immediate. Surrender. Threat level, maximum. Mara took a slow breath. They think this is a scrap heap. Let's show them what scrap can do. She turned to her crew. Battle stations. I want shields at full, weapons ready, and engines primed. This fight isn't just for us. It's for humanity's right to exist in this galaxy. Soren's fingers danced across the controls. Steady. Despite the pressure, they're confident. Too confident. Alara grinned. Let's give them a surprise they won't forget. The Echelon decloaked and charged, its energy weapons lighting the void. Mara held steady as plasma bolts lanced. Toward them, the shields flickered but held firm. Return fire, she ordered. Dreadsteel's railgun surged with power. The shot tore through the Echelon's shield grid, leaving a glowing crater on its hull. The Accord's captain snarled through the comm. You overestimate your capabilities, human. Surrender now, or be annihilated. Mara's reply was calm. Ice cold. We don't surrender scraps. We fight. The battle erupted into chaos. The Echelon unleashed volleys of missiles and plasma, each more devastating than the last. Dreadsteel weaved through the barrage, its patched engines sputtering, but responsive. The crew fought with everything they had, patching systems mid-combat, rerouting power, and exploiting every weakness. Suddenly, Patch announced, cloaking array at 80% efficiency, suggesting evasive maneuvers to avoid direct fire. Engage cloaking, Mara commanded. The ship vanished from sensors, becoming a ghost in the void. The Echelon pulsed with frustrated energy, searching blindly. Now's our chance, Mara said. Charge the railgun. As the Echelon changed course to sweep for them, Dreadsteel struck from the shadows. The railgun shot tore through the Dreadnought's engines, crippling its mobility. Without maneuverability, the Echelon was vulnerable. The patched AI coordinated targeting systems to disable its weapons one by one. The crew fought with desperate precision, racing to stay ahead of the Accord's counterattack. A sudden explosion rocked Dreadsteel's aft section. Hull breach! Lyra shouted, struggling to seal the damage. Mara gritted her teeth. Damage! Control teams, move! Jox's cybernetic eye flashed red as he analyzed incoming fire. They're focusing on our power core. We can't let it go down. With a roar, Dreadsteel surged forward, ramming the Echelon's crippled hull. The collision sent shockwaves through both ships. Prepare for boarding. The Accord captain barked. We'll take that ship piece by piece. Mara's voice was steel. Not today. As airlocks hissed open and boarding pods launched, Dreadsteel's crew prepared for hand-to-hand combat. The ragtag group of misfits had trained for this moment. Each knew the stakes humanity's survival. The first boarding party hit the hull with plasma cutters and magnetic grapplers, but Mara's team met them with fierce resistance. Soren's pilot instincts translated into deadly combat skills. Alara's weapons expertise made her a force to be reckoned with, and Jack's coordinated defense with clinical precision. In the chaos, Mara moved to the ship's core, where Patch was fighting to stabilize the fusion drive. We won't last long under this assault, Lyra warned. The Accord's tech is designed to crush uprisings. Mara clenched her fists. We're not just surviving. We're rewriting the rules. A sudden surge of power pulsed through Dreadsteel, and the fusion core glowed brighter. Patch's voice cut through the tension, initiating emergency protocol. Fusion pulse ready. Mara's eyes narrowed. Use it. The ship shuddered violently as a controlled pulse radiated out, temporarily disabling the Echelon systems and forcing a retreat. As the enemy vessels pulled back, Mara gathered her crew on the bridge, breaths heavy but spirits unbroken. Today, they saw what we're capable of, Mara said, voice steady. We're not scrap. We're a new power rising from the ruins. The galaxy's elite had sent their best to stop a scrap heap, but they'd met a warship born of defiance and ingenuity, a ship no one would forget. The battered Dreadsteel drifted quietly in Titan's orbit, its patched hull scarred from the recent battle with the Echelon. Though victorious, Captain Mara Vance knew this was only the beginning. The Galactic Accord would not so easily forgive defiance, and the balance of power was shifting faster than anyone could predict. "We can't keep fighting like this," Jack said grimly as he scanned the damage reports. "The Accord's fleet will be here in force soon." Mara paced the bridge, her mind racing. They had proven themselves, but their numbers were too few, their resources too limited. To survive and win, they needed allies. "Then we find them," Mara said, her voice low but fierce. "The outcasts, the forgotten, the ones who've been crushed by the Accord's iron grip. They'll want to fight too." Alara, leaning against the console, frowned. "Easy to say. Finding them is the problem. They hide in shadows we don't even know exist." Lyra's eyes flickered across the holomap. "There's a sector beyond the outer rim known as the Veil. It's a haven for smugglers, rebels, and exiles. No Accord patrols ever reach that far." Soren tapped his cybernetic arm. "I've flown routes near the Veil. It's dangerous territory, but those who live there have skills and firepower that could tip the scales." Mara nodded. "Then that's where we're going." The crew prepared for the journey, patching Dreadsteel systems and loading supplies. The ship's hybrid core groaned under the strain but held firm, a testament to the ingenuity that had built her. As they slipped through the void, the tension among the crew was palpable. This mission was more than a scouting run. It was a gamble on their survival. Weeks later, Dreadsteel emerged from the shadowed nebulae of the Veil. The sector was a chaotic labyrinth of asteroid fields, derelict stations, and hidden outposts. Signals blinked faintly on encrypted frequencies, a chorus of voices lost to the Accord's ears. Mara's tongue crackled. "Patch, scan for friendly signatures." The "ah" replied. Several unregistered vessels detected within a 10-parsec radius. Signal strength low but consistent. Mara's eyes narrowed. "Prepare a beacon. We'll send a coded transmission a call for those who refuse to bow." Soren piloted Dreadsteel closer to a massive derelict station known as the Hollowa. Former Accord supply depot long abandoned and now a gathering place for smugglers and mercenaries. Docking was tense. Mara and a small team boarded the station, stepping into a world of rust and shadows. Figures eyed them, warily scarred veterans, alien outcasts, and humans who had slipped beyond the Accord's reach. A tall, wiry man with a scar running down his cheek approached. "Captain Vance? We heard the rumors." The scrap warship that took down an Accord dreadnought. Mara held his gaze. "I am. We're here to offer a choice. Join us, or stay silent while the Accord crushes everything we've built." The man nodded slowly. "I'm Rek, leader of the Black Suns, a coalition of smugglers and exiles. We don't trust humans easily, but your fight is our fight. The Accord's chokehold squeezes us all." One by one, representatives from the Veil's fractured factions emerged, pirates tired of senseless raids, scientists banished for forbidden research, and soldiers left for dead by their governments. Each had skills and grudges, each saw in Mara's cause a chance for revenge and survival. Back on Dreadsteel, the new allies discussed plans and strategies. They shared stolen tech, smuggled weapons, and rumors of Accord weaknesses. Lyra worked tirelessly to integrate new systems into the warship, adapting the AI to manage the diverse technologies. But trust was fragile. Old wounds and rivalries simmered beneath the surface. Mara knew unity would be as hard as any battle. Late one night, as the station's lights flickered, Mara sat with Rek in a quiet corner. "Why help us?" she asked. He shrugged. because the Accord doesn't care who gets crushed. Humans, aliens, it's all the same to them. If your scrap ship can stand up, maybe there's hope for the rest of us too. Mara looked out at the stars beyond the broken station. Then we build more than a warship. We build a movement. The next days were a whirlwind of preparation. Dreadsteel was no longer just a ship, it was a beacon, with new allies joining. Their ranks, the scrap warship became a symbol of defiance, hope, and relentless resolve. But somewhere in the shadows, the Accord watched, and their response would come swift and brutal. The calm before the storm was a lie. Captain Mara Vance knew it well. The alliance forged in the Veil had strengthened Dreadsteel's crew and widened their reach, but it also painted a target on their backs, one the Galactic Accord's intelligence network wasn't about to ignore. On board Dreadsteel, the atmosphere was taut. The ship hummed with renewed power, upgraded weapon systems glowing faintly beneath fresh armor plating scavenged from the Veil's outposts. Yet, beneath the surface of hope, unease simmered. Lyra hunched over the console, brows furrowed. "I'm picking up encrypted transmissions, lots of them. Too many to be random." Patch's voice buzzed softly through the speakers. "Analysis indicates coordinated surveillance efforts. The Accord spies are everywhere." Jax, scanning the ship's security logs, growled. "They've planted trackers on some of our supply runs. Whoever's feeding them info isn't in this crew." Mara's jaw tightened. "Then it's time to find out who. No traitor gets to kill what we've built." She summoned her closest confidants to the briefing room, a cramped space lined with monitors displaying star charts and sensor feeds. "Alara, patch into the comms. Soren, ready the ship for immediate jump. Jax and I will sweep for the mole." Alara nodded, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "If they're transmitting data out, I'll trace the signals." Hours later, deep in the ship's underbelly, Mara and Jax moved silently. Through the dim corridors, their footsteps muffled by the hum of the engine. Every shadow could conceal a saboteur. Every whisper might be a lie. "Most of us have scars, Captain," Jax said quietly, but betrayal cuts deeper. "Mara's eyes burned with resolve. "And it ends here." Meanwhile, Alara's fingers flew across her station. "Signal trace leads to the cargo bay. Someone's been using the old maintenance ducts to sneak transmissions." The cargo bay, cluttered with scavenged crates and spare parts, seemed ordinary until Lyra's voice cut through the comm, shaky with urgency. "Captain, we've got company." Through the reinforced viewport, Dreadsteel's crew watched as a squad of armored Accord operatives materialized from a nearby stealth shuttle, weapons raised and plasma rifles glowing ominously. "Security breach," Mara muttered. "Soren, take us out of here." The engines roared as Dreadsteel lurched toward an emergency jump point. But the Accord forces were fast. Plasma bolts hammered the hull, sparks flying as shields faltered. In the chaos, a figure darted from the shadows, Jax, tackling a crew member who dropped a blinking device. The fight was brutal, hand to hand. Combat amid the echoes of gunfire and alarms. Mara's voice was sharp over the comm. "We've got a traitor on board. Hold them off." Alara rushed to the weapon console, targeting the boarding party with precise plasma bursts. Soren weaved Dreadsteel through the assault, dodging missiles and ion blasts with the skill of a seasoned pilot. Suddenly, the ship's power dipped. Lights flickered. "Sabotage!" Lyra shouted. "They're trying to disable the fusion core." Mara gritted her teeth. "Patch, reroute all available power to the core and shields." Patch's calm voice responded. "Reallocation in progress. Warning, system stability at 50%. With a surge, Dreadsteel slipped into hyperspace, leaving the attackers behind, but carrying the scars of the encounter. In the aftermath, Suspicion hung heavy. The captured crew member was dragged to the brig, a technician who'd always kept to herself, but the evidence was clear. She had been feeding secrets to the Accord. Mara faced the crew the next day, eyes scanning their weary faces. Trust is our greatest weapon and our greatest vulnerability. We'll tighten security, but we cannot let fear break us. Ilara stepped forward. We need better encryption and internal protocols. I'll work on building a firewall that even the Accord can't crack. Soren nodded. And we need to move. Staying in one place too long is suicide. Lyra added quietly, there's talk of a hidden weapons cache deep in the outer systems. If we can secure it, we might finally have the firepower to stand toe-to-toe with the Accord fleet. Mara's gaze hardened. Then that's our next mission. But we go prepared. The ship's atmosphere shifted from fear to steely determination. They were hunted, yes, but hunted prey sometimes becomes the most dangerous predator. Late that night, Mara stood on the observation deck, staring out at the stars streaking past. Somewhere out there, the galaxy's great powers plotted against them. But humanity's scrap warship was alive, adapting, and ready. A soft beep interrupted her thoughts, a new message encrypted with a signature she didn't recognize. Captain, Patch said, this is an anonymous transmission. The sender claims to have information critical to your fight against the Accord. Mara's pulse quickened. Hope flickered amid the darkness. Bring it up, she ordered. As the encrypted message decrypted, Mara's eyes widened. The galaxy was about to get even more complicated. The encrypted message pulsed softly on the holoscreen, flickering with a complex pattern of symbols that even Patch struggled to decode. Most unusual encryption, the AI murmured. Origin traced to an uncharted system beyond the fringe coordinates. Included. Mara leaned closer, eyes sharp. Patch, cross-reference those coordinates with known star maps. Anything unusual? After a tense pause, Patch replied, coordinates lead to the system known as Varnis. Classified as a dead zone, no natural stellar activity, no recorded colonies, no official expeditions. Jax frowned. Dead zones are never really dead. They're hiding places. Mara nodded slowly. We're going there. The journey to Varnis was uneventful but heavy with anticipation. The crew kept watchful eyes on sensors and scanners, every whisper of static a potential threat or clue. As Dreadsteel dropped into orbit around a barren, rocky planet, the ship's external scanners revealed a massive structure buried beneath the surface-part fortress. Part laboratory, its architecture alien, yet strangely familiar. This isn't just a weapon, Lyra whispered. It's a relic, something old and powerful. Mara ordered an away team to the surface herself. Jax, Ilara, and Rek, the leader of the Black Suns who had become their closest ally. Their shuttle sliced through the planet's thin atmosphere and landed near the structure's entrance, a massive door etched with glowing symbols that pulsed as they approached. Ilara's scanner beeped urgently, energy readings off the charts. Whatever this place is, it's active. Mara touched the surface, feeling the vibrations beneath her fingertips. Let's find out what it's hiding. Inside, the corridors stretched into shadowy vastness, walls lined with strange consoles and dormant machinery. Dust hung heavy in the stale air, but the hum of latent power was unmistakable. Deeper within, they discovered a central chamber housing. A massive device, a crystalline core suspended within a lattice of shimmering metal and cables. The core pulsed with a faint blue light, as if breathing. Jax approached cautiously. This technology, it's not from any known civilization, but it's resonating with Dreadsteel's fusion core, like a ... key. Suddenly, the walls lit up with holographic projections, flashes of star maps, battle simulations, and schematics of warships unlike anything in human or Accord arsenals. Mara's breath caught. This isn't just a weapon. It's a blueprint. Advanced technology lost for centuries. Rek examined the holographic display, eyes widening. If we can reverse engineer this, we can upgrade Dreadsteel and our fleet. Beyond anything the Accord has. Alara's fingers traced the crystal surface. But there's a catch. This power demands stability. It needs a fusion core like ours, but stronger, or it could tear itself apart. Mara looked to her. Team, we have the parts, the skills, but the risk. A sudden noise echoed through the chamber, a low, mechanical growl. From the shadows emerged sentinels, ancient robotic guardians programmed to protect the relic. The team braced as the machines advanced, plasma weapons igniting. Fight for every inch. Mara yelled. The battle was fierce. Alara's sharpshooting and Rek's guerrilla tactics combined with Jax's cybernetic precision kept the sentinels at bay. Mara led the charge, her blade slicing through the closest mechanical foe. As the last sentinel fell, silence returned. The crystal core pulsed brighter, almost welcoming. Mara exhaled, wiping sweat from her brow. We've got the weapon. Now we have to make it work. Back on Dreadsteel, Lyra and Patch worked frantically to integrate the relic's technology into the ship's fusion core. The entire vessel vibrated as the crystal interfaced with the hybrid engines, channels of energy flowing like rivers of light. This is unlike anything I've ever seen, Lyra said, eyes wide. If this stabilizes, Dreadsteel won't just be feared. She'll be unstoppable. Suddenly, the fusion core flared violently, systems flickered, alarms blared. Core instability, Patch warned. We're approaching critical thresholds. Mara's voice cut through the chaos. Stabilize it. Focus all power on regulating the crystal's energy flow. Minutes stretched like hours, but gradually, the core's wild pulses settled into a steady, radiant glow. The ship's sensors lit up with new capabilities, shields strengthened exponentially, weapon systems amplified, and engine output soared beyond anything previously possible. Mara smiled grimly. We've turned scrap into legend. But as the crew celebrated, a shadow loomed across the galaxy. On the Echelon's flagship, the Accord's admiral stared coldly at the reports. The humans have found the ancient weapon, she said, voice sharp with menace. If they unlock its full power, they will become a threat to the entire Accord. She slammed her fist down, mobilized the fleet. Prepare to crush this rebellion before it begins. The void ahead crackled with tension as Dreadsteel surged through hyperspace, her newly enhanced engines humming with raw, unrestrained power. Captain Mara Vance stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the swirling starfield beyond the viewport. The relic's technology had transformed their once scrappy warship into a titan. But the price was clear. The Galactic Accord's fleet was closing fast, intent on crushing the human rebellion before it could spread. Patch's voice was calm but urgent. Multiple Accord vessels detected, approximately 30 capital ships converging on our location within the next hour. Mara clenched her fists. Then we make our stand. The space around Titan turned into a battlefield of light and shadow. The Echelon and its fleet bore down with precision, plasma turrets blazing, missile swarms darkening the void. But Dreadsteel no longer lurked in the shadows. She shone, a radiant spear thrusting into the heart of oppression. Raise shields to maximum. Charge weapons to full capacity, Mara ordered. Alara's fingers danced over the controls, launching volleys of advanced plasma bolts and kinetic rounds that tore into the Accord's formation. The relic's power amplified each shot, melting armor and igniting chain reactions among the enemy ships. Soren piloted with unparalleled skill, weaving Dreadsteel through the maelstrom, dodging deadly barrages while positioning for devastating counterattacks. Rek and the Black Suns coordinated guerrilla strikes from the fringes, striking supply lines and forcing the Accord fleet to spread thin. The battle raged for hours, the vacuum of space filled with flashes of destruction and the hum of energy weapons. Dreadsteel's crew fought as one, scarred but unyielding. Mara's voice was a steady beacon amid the chaos. Hold the line. For humanity. The echelon closed in for a final assault, its weapons blazing with deadly intent. Mara knew this. Fight would decide their fate. Prepare the fusion pulse, she said, heart pounding. Patch confirmed. Core is stable. Pulse ready on your command. Mara gave the order. Fire! A surge of pure energy exploded from Dreadsteel's core, a blinding wave that rippled through space, disabling the echelon and several nearby vessels. Systems fried, shields collapsed, and the Accord fleet faltered. Seizing the moment, Mara led a daring boarding assault on the crippled echelon. The fight was brutal, but the human crew's determination and their newly forged alliances prevailed. As the last Accord ship retreated, battered and broken, Mara stood on Dreadsteel's bridge, the weight of victory settling in. "We did it," she whispered, voice thick with emotion. Rek nodded beside her. "The galaxy's balance has shifted." Patch chimed in. "Communications indicate multiple systems are broadcasting support for your cause. The spark has ignited." Mara looked out at the stars, a fierce smile breaking across her face. "We were scrap. We were outmatched. But we built more than a warship. We built a legend." The Dreadsteel had become a symbol of hope, defiance, and the indomitable spirit of humanity. The galaxy would never forget the day the scrap warship rose to claim its place among the stars. The end.